Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Maybe 3 of you will recall I did say that I was going to do a journal video talking about all my different journals. That was a month ago and I have taken my sweet time, but it's here. It is here, okay? And I have a lot of journals. Oh, okay. We've got a lot to discuss here, guys, so we're gonna jump right in. I'll start with my junk journal because it's different format than the rest. Everything else is writing journal. This is, you know, like an arts and crafts artistic journal. My junk journal, it's gone through some phases. This was my first ever junk journal and it was like to commemorate a trip with my friends. So like I took junk in the literal sense. Like this is kind of a true junk, like this is a piece of garbage that I got. This is a receipt, like stuff like that. And then this is the most junkiest journal of all. This is all garbage. Stamps, beer thing. I didn't even drink that beer. So that's kind of how I started junk journaling. I'm gonna say like a lot of this stuff is pretty ugly. I think we can all agree. I do kind of like looking back. This is like for one trip with my friends. Then I graduated into doing monthly wrap-ups of like all my media, like physical media, like any type of media. So like books, music, movies, TV shows, and just anything else like that I want to wrap up in that month. So now I do monthly wrap-ups. This is January. This was my first ever. So like all these are books. Some people might say, okay, you can just look at your Goodreads, you can look at Last FM, you can look at my wrap-ups each individually on their own app, but I like, number one, I like having something physical to look at, and then I like having it all in one place. Like this allows me to have all my books, my music, my movies. I only watched 2 movies that month, so that wasn't a good one, but like I like having all of my media in one place. I love looking back through my monthly wrap-ups. It shows what media I was consuming at that time, whether it was for the first time or repeat. I watched a lot of movies in May, all of these movies. So I just like having this physical thing to flip through and look at, where it has all of my media in one place. And then that's pretty much what I've been mostly using my junk journal for. I did do an Italian Pride spread. I actually really like this one. I like the interactive stuff. So like I made this envelope, and then this is a couple recipes that we used for Italian Pride. And then like these fold out. So like I like this because I got pretty crafty with it. I had to make a lot of this stuff for this specific junk journal, but then it's also like a memory. Like this was Italian Pride night and I have photos of us in there. April junk journal, quite an improvement from January. May, this was my most recent one. Got a nice theme going on. That's what I use my junk journal for. It's kind of falling apart at the seams. It was a really crappy beaten down journal before I even started. I just got it from my Nana, and I don't know if she's gonna make it the rest of the way because she's kind of falling apart at the seams, but we'll use her as long as we can. So that's the first one. That's my junk journal. Okay, my next journal, Trinity College. This is my daily journal. So every single day, every single night, I write down what I did in the day. Like no feelings, no emotion, like it's a bullet point list. So I started this January 19th of this year, and I've got every single day of my life since then counted. When I started this, I was really good about doing it every single night. These days, sometimes I'll slack for like 2 or 3 days, and then like on that 3rd or 4th day, I'm like, okay, I need to recap. So then I do my best to remember like everything I did in the day. I think there's one day in here that I hadn't done it in like a week. And like for most of the other days, like I had pictures, I had text messages, or like I remembered what I did. But this one day I could not remember for the life of me anything that happened on that day. So there's one day in this whole journal that's just blank because I didn't remember. I really like this one. Again, I am literally just saying like what I did that day. Like I ate breakfast. Some of them are really boring and short, and that's fine, but like you do something different every day. And I use this as a resource. Sometimes I'm like, when did we do that? When did we go to that restaurant? And did I wax my legs last? This is actually very helpful. And then I also love it as a memory. Like, am I gonna do this for the rest of my life? I would love to. That will require so many journals, but like how cool would that be to have every single day of your life documented? I just feel like that would be so awesome. So that's this journal. I use it daily, I use it nightly. I highly recommend for anyone who wants to keep a journal but like doesn't know what to write, because sometimes you don't know what you want to journal about, and this is so easy to do. I got this idea from a YouTube video. Like, he literally just said, write a bullet list of what you did that day, and I was like, that's so easy. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Highly recommend. This is probably my longest kept journal. This is my diary. This is my personal diary. I won't be opening this up. Actually, I'll open it to a page where there's like, here's a page I can show you because it's very, nothing happened. I date it, and then I write a little journal entry, and then I write the song, either the song I'm listening to or just like a song that played at some point while I was writing. And then I also write the time. I love rereading these journals. A lot of these journal entries are very like depressing. This is my keep out journal. Like, if you're watching this and you're in my life, if you ever see this, don't ever pick it up and read it. It's not for your eyes. That this is what I do instead of going to therapy. I feel like it does a pretty good job. It does as good of a job as it can. But yeah, so a lot of these journal entries are like when I'm really going through it, like mental breakdowns, like I'm crying, I have a lot of teardrops in this journal, and that's okay. I love having this as an outlet to like pour my feelings into when I don't want to talk about them. I don't like talking about my feelings to people. So this is just so awesome. It's such a release every time I write in it. I really mostly only write this when I'm like down in the dumps. I've had this since like 2020. I started in COVID, so you can imagine how sad some of these early entries are. I like rereading it. You know, you might call me a masochist for doing that, but I think it's nice to go back and read like at a time when I was really, really struggling, and either even if I'm reading it while during a time where I'm still struggling but with something different, or if I'm not struggling at all. It's just like the passage of time. Like, no pain will last forever. Well, I just like having this documentation of my feelings. So that's my private journal. That's my diary that no one can ever read. Dear God, please. I've had this one for 5 years now. I'm usually locking in when I'm writing in that journal. Like, I'm usually like carving out time. I'm like, I might cry while I'm writing this. It feels like a big commitment when I sit down and write something in this, but I wanted something for just like a paragraph. Like, if I want to write how I'm feeling, or like about the weather outside, or like what I just did that I felt really like accomplished or like happy about, or just literally anything. I wanted a more low-key journal, but like same format. So that's what this journal is. It's really dirty. I don't really know what all that dirt is from. Well, it's not dirt. I think it's from newspaper ink. So this journal I just started like a couple months ago, so I don't have too much written in it yet, but I've got a couple entries in here. Oh, and this one I write in cursive, so I like to practice my penmanship in this one. This one's much smaller than this one, so it's like less of a commitment. I sometimes don't even fill a full page. I like this journal because it feels like I could just write it on a whim. Like, I can write for 5 minutes and then be done with it, whereas like, I don't know why, but for this one I feel like I have to be in a very like intense, locked in mode to write in here. So I wanted something like less of a commitment. I wanted something more low-key, more casual, just for like the small things in life. Okay, then I have a commonplace journal. If you don't know what a commonplace journal is, I low-key don't want to explain it. I feel like everyone knows what it is at this point. But basically it's just like a collection of thoughts, ideas, information. Like, it's a very, very old established thing. Like, so I started my commonplace within the last year. I started this. So there's an index, and like, you pick what you want to include in it. So some of the stuff I was kind of like trying it out, like figuring out what I want to include in a commonplace book. So like, when I started it, I did like books to read, documentaries to watch, TV shows to watch. That I don't use as much, I've come to realize, because like, that I am fine with having that information on my phone. Like, I have Letterboxd when I have movies that I want to watch. I don't use those early ones as much, and that's okay. Something about a commonplace book, it's very customized and personalized to what you want to make it. Like, it's very loose. There's no like set rules and way to do it. What I mostly use my commonplace journal for is like a collection of quotes, which I've since realized / discovered that I've kind of been commonplacing like since I was younger. Because I had this one book, and it was just my book of quotes, and it was a composition book like this, and I would just write quotes in it. Any quote that I liked, I would just write it down in there. And that is a form of commonplacing. So maybe you've done your own commonplacing and you haven't even realized it. Yeah, I really like using my commonplace for the book quotes. I have a book quotes section. Oh, sorry. So let me show you the index. So I have the index and then I have the page numbers, and then I had to write out the page numbers like at the bottom of every page. I like writing book quotes in there. I have a Trinity page. And so this is anytime I hear something, read something, it's usually from books, but I'm not like strictly limiting it to books. But anytime I read something or hear something and I like so relate to it, it's so me, a song lyric, I write that in the Trinity section. And I feel like that's a fun collection of, like, if you read this, I feel like you'd have a pretty good idea of who I am. I also have, I've titled it Becoming. That's an ode to Michelle Obama's book, Becoming. Loved that book. This is an inspirational section of my book. Again, it's quotes that I want to always keep in mind, kind of want to live my life by. The first one, create more than you consume. I love that. I read that and I thought to myself, so true. Get off your phone and start making something. You know, it's not bad to consume. I'm very much of the mindset that everyone should be creating things. Even if you don't think that you're capable of it, you are. I really, really love that quote, create more than you consume. I don't even know where I found it from. I have a section here for words and definitions that I learn. It's pretty barren. What I will say about my commonplace, I don't bring it along with me everywhere the way that I should if I want to really utilize it. I'm trying to get more in the habit of using my commonplace. So it's certainly still in its early stages, but I like coming back to it every now and then. I like reading through it. I have a section on grief, on religion. I have like a finding section where if I learn stuff, I write it down there. I use my commonplace journal kind of more as a collection and representation of who I am as a person versus, I feel like, collecting knowledge and information on the world, which I feel like is mostly the commonplace purpose. So it's really fun to keep. I'd like to use it more when I learn. I really do like to learn, and I need to find more ways where I learn something and then it sticks, because I feel like we're all learning things and we're hearing things all the time. But are we really remembering them and processing them and being able to then regurgitate them? You know, like, you really learn something when you can teach it to someone. And there's a lot of things that I'm learning that in 2 weeks, if someone asks about it, I think to myself, dang, I read a whole article on that and I can't even tell them anything. I don't remember what it said. Maybe that's just a me thing, but I feel like that's something that a lot of people can probably relate to at least a little bit. So the act of writing things out, pen and paper, really helps me with things sticking. So I really like to use my commonplace journal a little bit more in that aspect. Okay, then we have this journal, this eyesore. It's really bright. I did not purchase this. It was given to my mother as a gift and she just wasn't going to use it, so I took it from her. This is just kind of a catch-all journal. This is if I need to write down something, if I need to calculate something. I've used it a lot for memorizing my country capitals. There's really nothing else to say besides that it's a catch-all journal. Okay, now we're on our final journal, and this is a work in progress. This is like the earliest stages of any journal in the world. I bought this journal because I loved the way it looked. It was big. It was just sleek black. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this journal yet, but I want it. I liked how much space there was to write. And so my thought was, after I'd had it for a bit, I was like, oh wait, let me use this as a book journal so I can write about my books when I read them. Another instance where I love reading books and I want to process them and analyze them and critically think about them more. So I thought doing a journal is the perfect way to do that. So then I did start that, and I started it when I read Betty, which was in February. And all I did was put this picture here. I wrote Betty, and then that was it. I had left this blank for so long, and I never kept up with it. So that is the only entry I have, and I actually just did all of this like last week because I was like, wait, I literally never used this. And my initial thought was to make it a journal for after I finish a book and I can write about my thoughts on the book. But now I'm like, maybe I should use this in parallel with reading. Like I can write about the book as I'm reading it, like write down quotes, write about my thoughts at a certain point, because then it feels less daunting, because I feel like I have so many apps, like reading apps, where when I finish a book I then have to write my review on the app, or like I have to mark the book as finished on the app, and I have a bookstagram. Like it just, I already have so many things that I have to do when I finish a book to add like a journal, and those are like so easy to do. Like it takes me 2 seconds to, you know, mark a book as read on an app, but it's just like the thought is more daunting than the actual action. But if I find that daunting, like doing a whole journal, like breaking down the book, just feels like too much. And it is too much because I never kept up with it. So I don't know, I'm gonna see how that goes. What am I reading right now? Oh, I'm reading essays right now, which actually probably would be a good thing to write about in here as I read through the essays. But I don't know, we'll see. I would love to keep up with this. I really enjoyed writing my Betty entry 6 months after, okay, not 6 months, 5 months after I read the book. So we'll see if I keep up with this. But I really love the idea of having like a specific book journal, only writing about books, and I feel like it'll help me understand my feelings about the book that I just read and analyze the book, where I'm really getting the most out of the book and not just reading it and then in a month forgetting it, which I don't think I really do. To be honest with you, it's not like I struggle with reading. I know that's kind of a thing people talk about a lot. They'll read a book and then someone will ask them what it was about and they can't answer it. I wouldn't say I struggle with that, but I just feel like there's always something I could be doing more with my reading and comprehensive skills and writing skills. I'd really like to improve my writing skills because I don't have any. Those are all my journals. If you guys couldn't tell, I like to document my life, and I like to document it in a physical way. I love putting pen to paper, and I think everyone should be journaling. I think it's such a cool resource. I wish that more of my family members had journaled so that I could read their journals when they were much younger. I just love the idea of being able to do that. Writing is a skill that I think we need to prioritize a lot in this digital age, and that's coming from me, a business major. Like, I'm not a writer, guys. I'm really bad at writing, but you don't have to be good at writing to do it. You don't have to be good at writing to journal. It's not serious. No one else is gonna read it except for you. I just encourage anyone that wants to try journaling to do it because it's so much fun. It's so awesome to have this resource to look back on. Some of these journals I've only had for less than a year, but even now I look back at my old entries and I'm like, wow, I'm so glad I have this resource from my life at this specific time, because it's such a minute thing that I would never remember, but like because I wrote it down at the time, I have this memory. Hope you guys enjoyed my journal ecosystem, as the cool girls call it on YouTube. I will see you next time.